Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered. Today we are on the pod with Musani, Tamur, and then we have a special guest, Zain. Just in general, Zain felt really passionate about the topic that we had today, known as hustle culture, and we'll hop into that shortly. But before that, I want Zain to be able to introduce himself to everybody.
Hey, salam guys. My name is Zain. I graduated a couple years ago from UIC. I work as an engineer right now, so I know a couple things about corporate America and the hustle life, I guess. So I wanted to join here today. Thank you to the boys and the rest of the Unfiltered team for having me today. I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, and in the future, if there's any topics that you guys feel like you guys are interested in, you guys want to hop on, you guys want to say something about, feel free to reach out, hit us up, and we'd love to have you on the podcast. So, this week's topic is a bit interesting. It's known as hustle culture. I feel like hustle, the term hustle, has been a very, very prevalent thing in like modern America, with like especially people that are young, Generation Z, millennials, about getting every dollar, putting in your 100%, never leaving any time in your calendar open, always having something to do. That's kind of what hustle culture is. It's like you're making sure you're never lazy, you're never really relaxing, you're always doing something, you're always being productive with your time. And I think it has a pretty positive connotation generally. And then I think people as of recent, like companies, like the work from home culture, the whole work-life balance culture has been coming out and been booming a lot more. And people are starting to take a step back. I'd love to know what you guys think. Like, what do you guys think of hustle culture in general? Of like working, grinding. And I know the more you make TikToks, Zane, you work 9 to 5. Musani, you be working like crazy. And
It's a hustle, though. It's a hustle.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. No, it is. I guess it is a grind.
It's a
man.
grind. Is it not a grind?
It is a grind. No,
All right,
it's a grind.
all right.
It's a grind.
There's no disrespect. It's a grind.
There we go.
Yo, that was a very strong
take it.
start right there.
Technically, we all make TikToks now. I'm gonna make that very clear. We all went viral, so I'm gonna let you know, y'all. You a
There
TikTok
we
star
go.
too. You a TikTok star. We all a TikTok star. Continue.
The question is that we
Cut
don't.
myself
I mean,
out
the
of
difference
that,
is
but-
we don't try.
Okay. Well,
You go out of your way to make content, which is and it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a
That's
good
not a bad
thing.
thing.
Back, yes.
You're entertaining him
I'm
now,
a
though,
hustler.
so-
Yeah,
Thank
come
you. I'm a
on.
hustler.
Maybe that's not
Jamal.
He's a hustler.
entertaining.
All right,
I'll
all right,
take
all
it.
right. So
Puts it together.
back on topic. What do you guys think about hustle culture and hustling and just putting your 100% into everything you do and making sure that you're always being productive at all times of the day?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it has a super, super positive connotation to start. And maybe, yeah, as of recently, it's been definitely a negative connotation, especially because, from, like you said, from the work from home mentality, we're taking care of our mental health a lot more, right? And once you start considering your mental health, I think at that point, like the idea and like the glorification of hustle culture just collapses a little bit. But I think we're going to have a pretty good back and forth here about whether it is a pro or a con. But I'm going to let you two define it before we get anywhere.
I think it's still kind of hard to decide if it's between a pro or a con. Like, I think the definition, it all depends on just a point of view, I guess. I think it's positive. I feel like I like to work a lot, and I just think that our generation especially is kind of lazy in a sense. So I'm all for as much work as possible, just being productive in a sense. I don't know if that work can mean so many things, and we're talking about TikToks, but
Do you think
I
that
think-
you think our generation is lazy because everything is broadcasted now?
think
I
you
feel
gotta
like in a sense that's
influence
such a
by
big
TikToks.
factor because you
No,
have
no. And I think that is definitely one thing that has an effect on us.
because back in the day you never saw like Instagram stories
Yeah.
didn't exist, Instagram posts didn't exist, social media in general wasn't as prevalent where like you could see into the lives
Yeah.
of people and you could actually like people would be posting stuff and it'll make you sit there and be like, oh, like what am I doing in my life, right?
Mhm.
Like oh, they're doing all this, but in reality is that really how it is, you know?
I think you're right about that. Now that I think about it, but because you said that, I just thought about how like I think most of our parents, or like especially Desi parents, are just like back in the day. I used to work 6 jobs. I was taking the train from here to here, riding my bicycle, going from this job to this job, and they're like grinding real.
Came here with $6 in my pocket.
Yeah, seriously, completely different than how we're doing it. We have LinkedIn statuses and all the social media stuff with our work experiences and all that. It's 2 different worlds that we're living in and stuff. So I think that might have an influence on why we are the way we are today.
I was gonna say the way I think I kind of define hustle culture is more in the sense of like a mentality. I think it's a mindset for sure, and it comes with a very fine line of this way or that way. And I definitely think social media has had a huge impact on it. More so negative, I'd say, because like kind of Jamal was saying, social media is pretty much broadcasting what you're doing more or less on a day-to-day basis, maybe a little bit broader, but we look into everybody's lives through social media in some sense. What people are saying, what people are doing, how they look, life updates, like all that kind of stuff, you know? You don't really need to be in the same room with somebody to now know what they're doing. And so I feel like we have this need to kind of show that we're being productive, that we're actually doing something, and that we're out there, quote unquote, killing the game in some sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I lean towards the negative side a little bit more.
Dude, I feel like on that note, though, I feel like if you hustle, and people that do hustle, I think the biggest thing is that you hustle in silence. You're not, the people that do it for social media, I feel like you're doing it for some type of recognition, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this right now. I'm got my 9 to 5. I got up at 7 to go to the gym. From 5 to 7:30, I'm working on my personal projects. Like, you're not doing that because you're hustling. You're doing that because you want me to know that you're doing it, right? So you're doing it for your whatever self gratification. So that's why I also feel like I don't feel like that's a good representation of what hustle culture is. That's why I feel like that's the definition has changed. I think hustle culture in general before was, hustling to make $1, get where you got to get to, and now it's like, oh hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing. So that's why I feel like you guys feel like it's so negative, because you see these guys that are flaunting like, oh, I'm always plugged in, I'm always doing stuff, but that's not the reality of that. Social media, we talked about it. It's just this idealistic thing, and that's I'm broadcasting to you the most ideal version of myself.
I mean, I think even when you're hustling in silence, right? Burnout exists. Burnout's real. Like, you could be working your butt off and grinding and making all this money and supporting your family, doing everything, right? But at the end of the day, you could still burn out. Like, you talked about mental health earlier. Is your phone going off the more?
No, something is beeping. I just don't know what it is.
All right. Well, I mean, just like, burnout exists. Burnout's real.
Yeah.
Masani, how do you? Okay, so from your point of view, right? No, this is a good conversation.
Yeah. I'm giving it to you. What's up?
How do you manage your mental health and making sure you don't burn out and giving yourself time to kind of cope and be able to like continue back on that grind? Because you could definitely overcompensate, and then it would just be negative. Like, you could be working so much that like you'd be better off taking a break for a weekend and going back to work than to keep working through the weekend, because you'd be just more productive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm gonna attribute this back to you, because we had not this convo, but something similar, and you were like, why don't you take breaks? And I was like, damn, that's a really good question. Like, why am I not taking a break? That's what I did. I started plugging on the calendar, like, from this hour to this hour, I'm not doing this. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I don't think hustle culture necessarily means 24/7 I'm going to be plugged in. I think it just means, like, putting everything you have into something so you can get to where you want to get to at the end of the day, right? If I'm going to put in, 8 hours a day into this project, that's fine. That doesn't mean I need to put 24 hours a day into it. I think that's why it's so negative, because the idea is there now that you have to do this 24/7. Like, you have to live it, you got to breathe it, you got to sleep with it on your mind. That's not true, right? If we're going to define it like that, then yeah, it sucks, because that's not attainable. That's why I don't think you have to do it 24/7. You can take your mental health breaks. Rest is not, it's not haram. Like, take your breaks, breathe it out, chill for a little bit. But if what you see on social media is, these guys waking up at 5 a.m. to trade currency in China, like that's not real. That's not how this works.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think there's also this whole obsession with like productivity, and I think part of that has to do with social media, and part of that has to do with like this comparison that like, hey, like nowadays, and you guys have seen this, nowadays everyone's like, oh, if you have access to a computer, if you have access to a phone, why are you not where some of these people are, like Forex traders, for example, or like stock market gurus and stuff, right? Like, I started with $5. Like, if you have this, like, we all started in the same boat, right? How come I'm here and you're not? And then people sit there and they're like, and first of all, it's damaging to your mental health. And then you're stuck in this comparison game. You're going to play catch up for the rest of your life, right? And then the other spectrum of that is like, people care so much about this hustle, right? For like these things that they'll prioritize looking good on social media or looking good or make it seem like that they're hustling to their friends over prioritizing their family, prioritizing their relationship with people and their spirituality, all that stuff. They'll sacrifice all that just to have the coin, or just to term the coin hustle culture, right? In a way. So I guess moving forward, like, for your guys' lives individually, where do you see hustle culture come into play? And how do you guys find the right balance? How do you guys strike a balance in your lives? Have you guys seen an obsession before, and being able to tone it back, change it up?
I think with me, I just, as Masani said, I try to find the perfect, like, a really good balance between working, because I like to work a lot. I like to be productive. I don't like sleeping too much. Sleep to me is temporary. I say that a lot to people. Like, I know, but some people are like, oh, you shouldn't, like, a lot of, like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson wakes up at, like, 4 a.m. All these athletes be waking up and, like, why are you looking at me like that,
I
man?
have a funny story.
Okay, well, I don't like sleeping, and so I try to wake up as early as possible, and I make the most out of my day, but I'm not, like, obsessed with, like, that type of mentality over projects like he was discussing, but I try to keep myself as busy as possible, whether it's, like, work, TikTok, other things, family, friends, just that, and I think that also plays into hustle culture, just being productive, to me, is hustle culture, and that's what I look at it as.
I feel like we've talked about this on an episode before, but do you remember in high school, like, I don't know about you guys, but it might have been.
Oh, God.
It might have been
I
a
know where this is
Niles.
going.
Is this the funny story? Is this the funny
Do
story?
you guys ever remember those guys that have backpacks and they'd have their snacks in the backpack and they'd sell snacks out of their backpack? Did y'all have that?
Like some club
I've
or
seen
something,
it.
right?
Not in school.
No.
For themselves.
Just in
For
general?
themselves. Like, they would sell, like, the bag of chips.
I think that's like a Morin Grove Niles thing, bro.
It may just
Oh, yeah, that's not a-
be.
it's not a-
Tamor, bro. Tamor always been working
my
to
high
the
school
point
was
where
better than
in the
that.
7th grade, he would be trying to sell kids fake Beats by Dr. Dre.
I was selling stuff.
And-
Yeah.
Oh, and those Gucci
I was
belts.
selling,
and all
no,
that.
I didn't get the.
Oh, that was the college phase. my
That's
bad.
not hustle culture. That's just hustling people.
Yeah, he was just like, hustling. So Tamor's definition may not be the right one, but yeah, Tamor's
just
always
like
been
to-
a bit of a hard worker.
Play on words there.
That's not hustle
I was
culture.
gonna
That's
say.
just me hustling, bro. Yeah, there's two different things.
Come
But
on.
I was hustling.
Were you hustling because you enjoyed hustling or for the actual money itself?
This dude was
I
trying
think
to get.
in all honesty, I think I enjoyed hustling.
Let me-
It wasn't
But there's
even for
people
the
that
money.
like actually
I didn't-
enjoy
I
working.
don't spend money, so if I took that money, I never did anything with it. But I enjoyed hustling. I enjoyed the thought of hustling. I would sell beats. I sold
Hold on, can I tell
power
you guys-
balance bands.
Yeah.
I sold candy, and off the top of my head,
What kind
it
of
was
candy?
in
You're selling
elementary school.
almond
It was
joy,
like
bro.
no. It was like those sour,
Like the
sour
Sour Patch
straws
Kids,
and
bro.
stuff, random stuff.
Hold on.
The crack-
Can I tell you
the
guys
crack
a
for
Chocolate
trade?
covered
kids.
raisins.
Let
and
me tell you guys
Raisinets.
about a trade
Raisinets.
Tamor and I made, all right?
Oh, okay. I know where
So
this
this
is going.
dude, all right, unfortunately, I'm a big New York Knicks fan.
Yes,
Very
sir.
unfortunate, right? But
Carmelo.
Tamor had a power balance band on him.
Yeah.
He was
Ooh.
charging kids $20 for this flimsy piece of rubber, right? I was stupid. I was like, I want one. He's like, I didn't want to pay him $20, so we kept going back and forth. But he's like, you know what? Let me get the answers to last night's math homework and $5, and you got a deal.
But I remember
That's
this.
hustling.
I remember
That's-
this. This
that's
dude gave me
hustling.
$5. That was the low, and it hurt me because that's the lowest I ever sold that thing at for $5.
You
But you got answers to the math
and
Yeah,
test.
right.
he was plugging it with answers. I
He got
wasn't gonna lie.
answers, bro.
That's
It was-
time saved.
yeah.
Time is money, baby.
Yes,
So
time
we're
is
straight.
money.
That's a good point though. The whole not even about hustling to get somewhere, but just hustling because you actually enjoy the hustle. You enjoy working. You enjoy being productive. Screw the money part. Screw the byproduct.
Yeah.
But like you actually just enjoy working,
Yeah.
right? The obsession of being a workaholic. And I guess in today's culture, that's kind of being toned back. People are like, take time for yourself. Like companies are giving days
yeah.
off, just like get away from the office, this and that.
True.
What do you guys think about that?
Dude, I still think it's kind of productive. Like, it's the same way. You guys seen those companies right now that are doing like unlimited PTO?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've
And
heard
then-
about that. Yeah.
And I talk to people that have unlimited PTO about how much PTO they take.
they don't end up using any.
No, you
They don't take any.
because there's such a stigma around you have to be in the office, you have to be working. The people that get promoted are the ones that are, the ones with the most billable hours, the ones that are doing the most, the ones that are making the most sales to their clients, whatever it is. But you need time to do all those things. So taking time out of the office ends up being counterproductive to your actual career. So that's why, there's a drawback to hustle culture, right? Like I can't focus on me person as much as I need to focus on like me, the worker. So there's your drawback. But I still think, I'm not totally against it. I'm not like, oh, this sucks.
I've seen the example where like a lot of people hustle. They get somewhere, they get promoted, they do this, they do that, they accomplish all this, then they fall into depression. And we've seen that a lot with mostly celebrities and just people in my personal life. I know about that too, right? And then they end up taking like a step back from everything and they have to regroup and then they're back at it, right? I'm just like trying to think like for the younger generation growing up, us that we're in it right now, our parents, like how do we balance that? How do we make it so it could be a consistent flow, right? Without having to always take these 20 steps forward, 10 steps back, 20 steps forward, 10 steps back, where it could just be 3 steps ahead every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard.
You know what it is though? It's hustling aimlessly because you're chasing money or you're chasing whatever you're chasing is a lot more detrimental than hustling with a goal in mind, right? For example, if you're only gonna hustle because you want a certain amount of dollars, once you get to that point, again, you're never satisfied.
Yeah.
Right, so you're gonna continue to hustle, and then at what point, right? Money's limitless. You're gonna keep getting it. You're gonna keep being unsatisfied. So that's one thing. But if you're hustling, you're like, I want to get to like think about someone that hustles in the gym, right? They're in there every morning. They're like, oh, I want to add on like 7 pounds of muscle. Well, once you get there, like, all right, you're satisfied, but you could do better. So you'll still continue to, strive for something better, but you're happy. Versus if you're doing it aimlessly and you're like, you know what I mean? Like if you just do it aimlessly, you're like, yeah, of course you're gonna hit that 20 steps back.
I'm gonna jump in there, and you kind of mentioned something about how you're never satisfied, right? You're always striving for more. I think a big part of it in our society is also. So I'm gonna reference a book. I don't know if you guys are into like self-growth books, but Rich Dad Poor Dad is hands down one of my favorite books. And it's written by Robert Kiyosaki, and he talks about this rat race, right? And you're in this cycle where in our society you earn more money, and then with that same progression of income is expenses, right? The more money the more money we earn, the more we spend. That's what our mentality is, right? People struggle a lot to keep their expenses low while their income rises. And so you're in this never-ending kind of cycle of trying to get after it 10 times harder, year after year, promotion after promotion. So I think that definitely plays into it. That feeling of feeling unsatisfied is what I'm trying to say. So that is like part of it, I think. And that's just honestly our mentality. That's like society, right? We're always trying to get the better thing, the better car, the better house, the fancier items in life. When in reality, like those things aren't essential. They're just they're desires. They're not needs. And so I think that plays a big part into it.
Oh, definitely. I think the biggest double-edged sword. I don't know if you guys used any type of calendar app.
Yeah. I just started.
So 2 years ago I started using like Google Calendar, right? And I think anyone that uses a calendar app, just seeing the blank spots on your calendar makes you like normally before using it, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm just chilling, right? It's fine. But then when you actually like time out your day and see what you're doing, it makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, oh, like I could be using that time to be doing something.
You've been using that for a while, right?
I've been using it for a while.
I just started, I think I might have gotten it from you, and I just remember looking at yours, and your calendar was.
I was gonna say I've
before
seen
this pod,
I feel stressed out.
Yeah,
and it's like, bro.
Before this pod, I thought I was being productive, but now I feel like it's like burnout.
It keeps you in check.
It could be toxic.
It couldn't
dude.
be me.
No, it could be toxic because when you see those open spots, you're like, oh, I could be doing something better with my time. I got to put something there. I got to schedule something there. Then you're never ending. Like for me, like, for example, these last few weeks, like I have not had any time in my calendar at all. So I've always been doing something. And then like finally a few days ago, I had a chance to like sit back, be like, damn, okay, I could chill for a little bit, dude. Right? Like, and like, I guess spacing stuff out, giving time for yourself. Like if you're going to work for 30 minutes, give yourself like a 10-minute break. Like stuff like that is really, really important. And I feel like we don't do that enough just in general. Right?
I think we're all built differently, so we all know our own burnout levels and stuff like that. So
you won't know until you hit it though.
Yeah.
And then but the point is you don't want to hit it. You know what I mean? It's tough.
It's like how many reps can you do and like until you give out, until your arms.
I feel like you're the type of dude that also puts in his breaks on his calendar though. So maybe you're just looking at it.
I started recently, but I never used to do that before. I used to keep going and going and going. Like Musani, for example, during tax season, bro, how many hours were you working? And do they do anything that help you out?
You don't want to answer that question.
Like
don't answer
65, 70.
And do they do anything to help you out there?
That's just the nature of the game over there, I think, though. We'll pay you $10.
15-minute yoga time.
I mean, dude, but
were there any self-coping methods? Was there anything that you did yourself to be like, hey, like, in order for me to stay productive, I need to take a break? Or is that even how you roll?
I mean, I think it comes back to the idea of personality. Like, I enjoy being busy. I don't know what it is, but I feel like if I have, like, if I feel like there's a timer, there's a deadline coming up, I feel like that's when I'm at my most productive, right? So
procrastination.
Kind of, dude. Like I feel like some things, I prioritize, but even like these snips, right? Like I feel like I told you the other day, oh, I'm gonna get this to you by Tuesday. I probably told that to you Monday night, and you got it maybe at like Tuesday night at like 11:45 because I was like, all right, now I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I will hustle solely because I know that's when I'm at my most productive, and that's when I'm gonna get there. I think it also comes back to your personality, right? For me, I know if I'm putting 100% into everything that I do. Granted, like burnout exists, whatever, right? If I put 100% into everything I do, and somebody else on the other end puts in 100% to one thing or another, I'm gonna be better at something else. And for me, the fact that I can see it that way, that I want to be better, I think that's just gonna push me past that, the wall. Not to say the wall doesn't exist. Like I hit the wall. I probably hit it about a month or two ago, but I push ahead, keep going. So that's my take of it.
I think so. We talked about the capitalistic side, the work side of hustle culture. Then you have hustling with your friends, right? Like in your relationships with your friends, with a relationship with your family. I feel like I mean, I personally
Like the
seen
impact
with
of
myself,
it? You're talking like the impact of it, right? The impact.
yeah,
Of,
that it has on your friends, that it
Yeah.
has on your family,
Okay.
and that me included, like people will put 100% into work, put 100% into school, and then they'll put 20% in the family, 20% in the friends, and it shows, right? Like, how do you even that out? Like, because Wasani, you put so much into what you're doing, right? Now, I'm just using you as an example here. You don't need to smile, but like,
I'm like on the hot seat right now.
you put so much into what you're doing. How are you able to balance that when it comes to taking care of your parents, making sure your siblings are good, keeping in check with your friends? Like, it's, I feel like it's for me, right? That's almost impossible for me to be 100% every single thing. Like, you need to be able to take a little bit away from this in order to accommodate this fully. You know, even spirituality, like going to the masjid as much as you want to be going to the masjid, keeping up with your 5 daily salahs, like stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're doing it a lot, man, one, you get good at doing it, but two, yeah, you definitely sacrifice from some things. You know, you can keep giving an arm and a leg, but at some point you run out, right? Like we had the analogy with your mom about, you know, you got to fill your cup first. At some point that cup runs dry, so I don't know what else you could be pouring. Yeah, you got to fill your cup.
But some people don't know when your cup runs dry.
You don't know. You don't know till you wake up one morning and you don't want to get out of bed. Yeah. That's true, right? But I think it comes back to, and we did this on the Kobe episode, right? When he talked about
obsession.
Yeah, no. When he talked about, you know, when I come home from a game and like Gianna wants to play, I can't say no, because if this is a game, I would say, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
But not everyone's Kobe.
I get that.
Not everyone could get up and be like, yo, I'm gonna play. You know what I mean?
100%, bro. Like, it'd be ideal if everyone was Kobe, right?
Right.
But I think it's a priority thing. Like, he prioritizes her, right? It's the same way if you prioritize your parents or your siblings, and it's hard. Like, I feel like going from, you know, like you saw me senior year, like I always had my phone. I was always texting people, and now I feel like I have very adult relationships where it's like, we'll check in on each other like once a month, and I'll call it. I see you guys when I see some of my closest friends, and that's the reality of it, you know, because I can't accomplish everything and still stay completely up to date with you. Like, yeah, we can FaceTime once a week for like 15 minutes and just catch up real quick. But if I'm giving you every single day, I'm probably not going to get to where I want to get to, and you're probably not going to get to where you want to get to. So I think it comes out of that too. Like, what are you willing to give up to get to where you want to get to?
I'm gonna chime in over there too. So you were asking about how to balance it, kind of, right? I think something that's really worked for me is having set days for like set groups or set activities in my life, right? So like Monday through Friday, obviously it's a grind, working 10, sometimes even 12 hours a day, right? Depending on how the workload goes. So Sundays have always been kind of like family days for me, where it's towards the end of the week, you're getting ready for Monday, where you don't really want to go out and be out that late anyway. So it's a perfect day to kind of just be with the family, pay attention to the little brother, mom, dad, whatever it might be, right? Fridays and Saturdays are more for like the boys, kind of hang out. I'll see you guys more often, stuff like that. Monday through Friday, I'm not trying to go anywhere because or Monday through Thursday, right? And these guys do so many things during the week, and they will not see me during the week because, one, I live 45 minutes, 50 minutes away. And then on top of that, I'm just not trying to be out doing that stuff, right?
You still showed up for dance practice, so don't.
Priorities,
I'm exposed right here.
Priorities. When the boy's getting married, you got to show up. But point is that, like, you got stuff going on, and at the end of the day, you got to, like, prioritize those things. So having those dedicated days for something is something that's really helped me out.
I think prioritization in general. The more, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking I've never really prioritized days because everything differentiates for me, but I've sacrificed a lot, especially I think in my friend groups. Like, I really do not hang out with my friends as much as I used to, and I take a lot of heat for that. And I've like put some relationships in like a little shaky positions where they're like, "Yo, you don't hang out with us" and stuff, and I have to end up dealing with that. So far, I haven't dealt with much of it. Like, I haven't really had those conversations, but one day I'm probably gonna have to, and then I'll deal with those when I cross that line.
I just feel like that's part of being a grown up.
Yeah.
That's the price you pay.
I was gonna say, bro,
for like your paycheck.
You realize who's at that level and who's not.
Yeah,
when it
that's
comes
just
to
what
that.
happens.
Yeah.
Dude, you know, but on that note, like another thing that I started doing, not started because we've always done it, but it was always family dinners. Like, actually, everyone get on the dinner table, everyone have dinner with each other. So even if I haven't seen you all day, like that's an excuse to see you. That's an excuse to just sit down and, you know, have like 30, 45 minutes just to chill and just breathe it out. So that was another thing that was actually really helpful now that I think about it. Because, you know, at that point, if I haven't seen you all day, I've been commuting, I've been working, I've been doing whatever, at that point, I can prioritize you and just you.
That's actually super annoying. I was going to say, at this point in time, I feel like I've seen it in my own household where, like, there's 4 people. They're all home at the same time, but they'll be eating at different times. It's like, if I was a mother, I'd be pissed, you know, like, because one, you're not trying to get out food for people like that. And in our Desi culture, like, that tends to happen. Like, I'm a little more on the independent side, so I'll take care of it sometimes, but I feel guilty of it too when I'm having my own meal and I'm not eating with mom or dad or, you know, stuff like that, especially because everyone's got their own schedule during the week. The weekend is kind of that one time where everybody's under the roof at one time. So like we said, it's priorities, right?
Yeah.
You got to make it a point. You got to make the effort, and I think it goes a long way when you do.
Yeah. Yo, all right, right back around. Yeah. Are you for it, or are you guys? So now that you've heard kind of like both sides of it, right? Like, have you changed your mind from where you started?
So I started in the sense where I looked at hustle culture as a negative thing because of the burnout, because of you could be up, and then crash, right? Like that's how it is. I feel like there's two sides to the coin, right? There's hustling with balance, being able to hustle and prioritize, like how you guys just talked about. I think is really important. Being able to prioritize, being able to self-care, mental health wise. I think if you could do that, if you could work really hard and also know where your priorities are and take care of your mental health, which is really hard to do.
It's a lot of things to do at once.
Then you're good. But I feel like that's really hard to do, and I think you kind of have to fail at it in order for you to learn how to do it correctly. Because I think we've all hit burnout or something's happened,
you gotta fall off a bike to know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
I've never fallen off a bike, but sure.
You've
never fallen off a bike? No, I haven't.
You did the training wheels.
Yeah.
But
yeah, professional bike trainer.
I don't really bike like that, but like I've never fallen off.
You gotta. I don't know what you fall off.
Yeah.
You gotta fall off the swing to know how to ride.
You gotta fail. You gotta fail at something to get good at it. So
that's a better way of putting it. There you go. But yeah, agreed. I think so that's where my point is. I think it has pros and cons, it has drawbacks, but it also has gems. And I think you just need to find the gems and be able to recognize the drawbacks and to be able to make a plan for it, to address it.
I'll go next. For me, I think I have a different perspective because I'm a slave of corporate America. And so you see that direct correlation, exactly. You know, you put in the work, you get rewarded for it. You put in longer hours, you get rewarded for it. So I'm not a fan of that mentality. I'm not a fan of that environment. And so I'm still kind of a little more on the negative side of the line. But it can change, you know. It depends on how you take it and what you want to do with it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think I still keep my stance where I like, I think, like, not like how you redefined the word. I think I like that new connotation of hustle culture rather than the what you originally thought of it to be.
Wonder like the pros and cons,
two
sides to it.
Yeah. All I could picture you is like Lance Armstrong teaching you how to ride a bike. That's all I can picture right now. I apologize.
We'll go biking after this.
Yeah, for real.
We'll do an unfiltered biking day with Zain.
Close it off for us, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm too stubborn to get off the hill that I was on, but I'm gonna say I think it also is very much based on your age, right? When you're in your early 20s, you're single, you don't have kids, you have no other like things to worry about. You can afford to hustle, so that when you get into your 30s, when I have those priorities, when you got to get home to your family, then I've already put in the work to have that foundation built up. So when I'm in my 30s, in my 40s, whatever, going forward, I don't have to do that. If I can sacrifice now, I know I can build a better future. So that's my take on it. That's why I'm like, you know what? If you're in your 20s, put whatever you got into it. Because at some point, man, you're going to be married, you're going to have things to worry about that's more than just yourself, and it's going to be a lot harder to do these things. That's kind of where I stand.
I feel that. I think this was a really good conversation. Wait, go ahead.
No, just respect for what he said. I'm kind of there, but I also think, it's important to do each.
I think it's important to enjoy your 20s a little bit too. I think this could be a whole different pod itself, right? We're not going to start there, okay? But
we could talk about the 20s on a different one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think this is a really valuable conversation. It was nice hearing everyone's perspective and actually coming to agreement on some parts of it, right?
Yeah.
One last thing before we end off. We're gonna do our mental health check-in.
Okay, say that.
The more lead it.
We have to do it on camera.
All right.
We gotta tell Zain about it too.
Wait, film.
Yeah, we're gonna do it on camera.
Let's film Zain in. So
say a number between 1 to 10 to say where you are on like the mental health like scale, right?
10 being,
if you're at a 1, it's like
puppies and rainbows.
Categories though.
So
1's terrible.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically, it's like business-wise, family-wise, with your friends, spiritually. All bring that all together. Where you at on a 1 to 10? We're all gonna go around and say it.
I'll have you guys start just so I know what I'm kind of getting into here.
You can start.
I feel like I'm at like a 6. I feel like we're trending upwards.
There's 3 different categories, right?
I'm going.
So you want 3 numbers or you want an
Yeah,
overall
like-
3
number?
numbers.
Okay.
Well, we're just gonna do one for the sake of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
just do
I'm
one.
gonna go with a solid 6.
You
I
thought-
think,
okay.
You know,
With the 3 numbers.
And the reason we do this is because we're all here to uplift each other and help each other, right?
Dude, but I feel like it's always hard to be a 10 because things can always be better.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you're at a 1, then I mean things will get better. So I'm gonna stick with a 6 and I'm gonna pass it on.
I think I'm at like I'm pretty content right now with my life, so I want to say I'm at like a 7.8.
Alhamdulillah.
Last
Yeah.
night.
But
though,
that's a good number.
no,
7.8.
but last night after
7.8?
Yeah, like I don't.
What?
Yeah, I feel like that's
Why
a
not
good number.
7.7? Like,
No,
Why
but
not
8 is like
7.8?
you're closer to 8.
Let
than,
him be
like,
where he's at.
All right,
bro.
all right,
Yeah,
all right, all right,
he
all
was
right.
he was at 8, but after all those drops Wednesday night, it went down.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. I'm not gonna discuss that with you. So
Personally, I'd probably say a 7. And I think if you would have asked me like 2 months ago, I probably would have said a number lower. But alhamdulillah, I got some stuff that I'm figuring out, I'm working on, and I'm excited for the future. So I'm
Mashallah,
leaning towards a 7.
But yeah, I'd probably say an 8. Like, alhamdulillah,
so I'm the only one that's gonna use a decimal.
He just got married. You
Yo,
know he's
yeah,
gonna be
yo,
up in the
hey, I'm
8s.
going to
Jamal has been a
He's-
10 for a couple of weeks.
I swear, bro.
All right, first
You
of all,
sure you wanna
an
go
8
higher?
is not a 10. There's definitely always improvements to be made. But
You said
alhamdulillah-
8 because you don't want to
Hey.
say a 10.
No, alhamdulillah, I feel really good
Why
about
not
my life
9?
right now.
10's a honeymoon. When he goes on the honeymoon,
Yeah,
he'll be on
yeah,
the
I'm not at
10.
9 yet. I'm not at 9 yet. I feel like 9's a whole different level, man.
If we put a
That's
decimal
like-
with that
it's like
8.
9.
I think.
All right.
I
Okay.
think-
We're done.
I'm gonna let you.
Closing
rock it.
remarks.
All right,
Closing
so-
remarks.
I'm happy y'all got to share. We're all here to uplift each other. Wasani, you at a 6. Let us know what we need.
Yeah,
Or what you need from
do
us, we got
to help
you.
that.
All right,
Don't worry.
Thanks, guys.
The more we got to get you up to an 8.
I changed it to an 8 because I'm the only one that wants to use
All right,
decimals. I'm
all
at
right,
an 8.
but-
I'll go 8.
Zane, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And
bros.
we'll catch you guys
Thank
on the
you.
next podcast, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
Salam.
Peace.